here. Let's bridge further from here from our real numbers and classifying real numbers to determining the classification of all numbers. Move over to this side here. Get a little bit extra room still. There we go. Let's look at an example of, again, remember we had the square root of 3 earlier. Let's take an example of the square root of 10. Well, before I pull out a calculator, I could do some quick math and say that the square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 16 is 4. Well, these are actually called perfect squares. And a perfect square, all it is, it's a number that has integers as its square roots. So it's a number that has integers as its square roots. Well, let's figure out what the square root of 10 is here. But before we do, let's just remember that irrational numbers, it's got to be an irrational number or a rational number because it's going to end up having a decimal. And you know that because a perfect square ends up becoming a value that is an integer. And since 3 and 4 are corresponding integers, therefore you're going to have something between 3 and 4. And it's going to have a decimal. But we've got to determine, is the decimal going to be end up with a rational number or end up as an irrational number? Well, rational numbers here, they include decimals that terminate or repeat. And irrational numbers, they have decimals that do not terminate and do not repeat. Now, I don't know what the square root of 10 is off the top of my head, so again, pull out my calculator for now, just to prove that square root of 10 equals 3.162, oops, 3.162277766. Therefore, my decimals are not repeating because they are not the same, and they are not terminating. Therefore, this is not a rational number, it is irrational. Therefore, the square roots of 3 and 10 are irrational. Another way of looking at this is the square root of 3, or actually 3 and 10. These are whole numbers that are not perfect squares, therefore they are irrational. Let's look at the square root, or not the square root, let's look at 3 over 0. And since the denominator has a value of 0, we've gone over this in another video, but you know that this is not a real number. Let's take a look at, oops, let's take a look at square root of, I don't know, 1 over 4. So this is the square root symbol. Well, square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 4 is 2, so 1 over 2, or half. Well, that is a fraction, written as a fraction, and it is a terminating decimal because it equals 0.5. Therefore, it is a rational number. We'll look at one more here. Forgot the A here. Rational number. So the last one we'll look at is, let's say, the square root of a negative number. Let's say negative 17. So the thing you ask yourself whenever you see a square root symbol is, hey, what two numbers or what number multiplied by itself equals the number inside the square root box? Since no number times itself equals a negative number, this also is not a real number. Thank you.